When Marcus Reid pulled up to the abandoned house on Maple Street with his 11-year-old daughter in the passenger seat, his ex-wife called him insane. She wasn't wrong to worry. The house had been empty for 7 years. Boarded windows. Overgrown yard that looked like a jungle. Graffiti on the garage door. The neighborhood kid said it was haunted. The real estate agent had laughed when Marcus made an offer, laughed because the place was considered teardown material, not a home. But Marcus paid $23,000 cash for it. Every penny of his savings. His daughter, Zoe, stared at the wreck through the car window and asked the question that would define the next 18 months of their lives, "Dad, are we really going to live here?" "We're going to make it beautiful," Marcus said. "You and me." What happened next shocked an entire community and went viral for reasons no one saw coming. Marcus was a 34-year-old electrician who'd lost custody of Zoe 3 years earlier. Not because he was a bad father, because he'd been homeless. Living in his truck. Working day labor. Sending every dollar he could to Zoe's mother while he slept in parking lots. The courts don't give custody to homeless parents. That's just reality. But Marcus had clawed his way back. Steady job. Saved money. Fought through the legal system. And finally, he'd gotten joint custody. Zoe would spend half the year with him. The problem? He couldn't afford rent in any neighborhood with decent schools. Landlords wanted first month, last month, deposit, and references. Marcus had money for one of those things. So he bought the abandoned house instead. Subscribe now. What they built together will change how you see family. Day 1, they couldn't even get inside. The front door was sealed shut, swollen from water damage. Marcus had to pry boards off a window and climb through, then unlock the door from inside. The interior was worse than the exterior. Holes in the walls. Carpet black with mold. Kitchen cabinets hanging by one hinge. The bathroom looked like something from a horror movie, toilet cracked, sink missing entirely, bathtub filled with what Marcus hoped was just dirt. No electricity. No running water. No heat. Zoe stood in the middle of the living room, flashlight in hand, looking around at the disaster. "I know it's bad," Marcus started to say. "Where do we start?" Zoe interrupted. "Not, this is impossible. Not, I want to go back to Mom's." "Where do we start?" Marcus felt something crack open in his chest. His daughter believed in him. Have you ever had someone believe in you when you barely believed in yourself? That's what Zoe gave her father that day. They started with demolition. Marcus couldn't afford contractors, so he and Zoe became the contractors. He taught her how to swing a hammer properly. How to pull nails without bending them. How to tell the difference between a load-bearing wall and a partition you could safely remove. Zoe was 11 years old, wearing work gloves 3 sizes too big, pulling up rotted carpet alongside her father. They worked every evening after school. Every weekend. Marcus would wire houses during the day, then come home and rebuild his own at night. Zoe would do homework in the truck, then put on her work boots and meet her dad inside with tools. The neighborhood watched with a mixture of curiosity and doubt. But here's what most people don't know, and it changes everything about this story. Marcus wasn't just rebuilding a house. He was rebuilding himself in front of his daughter. Every wall they fixed, every floor they laid, every window they replaced, it was proof. Proof that he wasn't the homeless failure the courts had seen 3 years ago. Proof that he could give Zoe a real home. Comment below, would you let your 11-year-old help with demolition and construction? 3 months in, the house was gutted but not rebuilt. Marcus had run through most of his budget on basic materials, drywall, lumber, electrical supplies. They still didn't have a working bathroom. They were showering at the gym and using a porta-potty in the backyard. Zoe's mother threatened to take him back to court. "You're making our daughter live in a construction zone." She wasn't wrong. But she also wasn't seeing what was happening. Zoe was learning to problem solve. Learning that hard things don't fix themselves. Learning that her father kept his promises even when they seemed impossible. One Saturday, Marcus came home from a supply run to find Zoe in the backyard with a sketch pad. "What are you working on?" She showed him. Detailed drawings of what their house could look like. A front porch with flower boxes. A kitchen with an island. Her bedroom painted lavender with shelves she'd built herself. "I've been watching YouTube videos," Zoe explained. "About interior design. I want to help make it beautiful, not just functional." Marcus looked at his daughter, really looked at her. When had she grown up? When had she stopped being a little kid and become this capable young person with ideas and skills? "Okay," he said. "Show me what you're thinking. If you're not subscribed yet, you're going to miss how this transforms. Subscribe before it's too late." Zoe's designs became the blueprint. She planned the kitchen layout. She chose paint colors. She researched countertop options that fit their budget. Marcus taught her basic carpentry, and Zoe taught him about aesthetics. They became a team, not just father and daughter, but partners in creation. The neighbors started noticing the changes. The boarded windows came down, replaced with actual glass. The graffiti got painted over. The jungle yard got cleared, revealing a space that could actually be a lawn. An older man from 2 doors down, Carl, stopped by one evening. Watched Marcus and Zoe framing out a new wall. "You two need help?" Carl asked. Marcus almost said no, pride, you know. But Zoe answered first. "We're trying to insulate before winter. We could use extra hands." Carl came back the next day with insulation and a friend. Then his friend brought someone else. Within a week, Marcus and Zoe had a crew of neighborhood volunteers showing up on weekends. People brought leftover materials from their own projects. Someone donated a barely used stove. Another person had extra tile from a bathroom remodel. The community that had watched this abandoned house rot for 7 years suddenly rallied around a single dad and his daughter trying to bring it back to life. But here's the twist no one saw coming. 6 months into the renovation, Zoe's school counselor called Marcus. There was a problem. Zoe's grades had dropped. She was falling asleep in class. She seemed distracted, exhausted. "Is everything okay at home?" the counselor asked carefully. Marcus felt his stomach drop. This was it. This was how he'd lose custody again. Working her too hard. Making her live in a construction zone. Proving he couldn't actually be a full-time parent. He sat Zoe down that night. "We need to talk about school." Zoe's eyes filled with tears. "I'm sorry, Dad. I've just been so tired. And I've been thinking about the house during class. Planning things. I didn't mean to." "Do you want to stop?" Marcus asked. "The renovation. Do you want to take a break?" "No." Zoe's response was immediate and fierce. "This is the most important thing we've ever done. I don't want to stop. I need to manage my time better." What would you have done in Marcus's position? Comment your answer, I need to know. They created a new rule, school came first. Homework before hammers. No construction on school nights unless Zoe's work was finished. And 1 day per weekend had to be completely free, no renovations, just fun. Zoe's grades came back up. But she never stopped working on the house. By month 9, the transformation was undeniable. The abandoned wreck on Maple Street had working electricity, plumbing, heat. The walls were smooth and painted. The floors were level. The kitchen had cabinets Zoe had helped install and countertops she'd chosen. But they weren't done. Zoe wanted to build something special in the backyard. She'd been sketching plans for weeks. A small deck with a pergola, a place where they could sit outside and actually enjoy what they'd built. That's advanced carpentry, Marcus warned. That's not beginner stuff. Then teach me, Zoe said simply. They spent 3 weekends building that deck together. Zoe measured every board. Calculated angles. Helped Marcus set posts and attach joists. When they made mistakes, and they made several, she helped problem-solve solutions. The day they finished the pergola, they sat underneath it as the sun set. The house behind them was nearly complete. Livable. Beautiful, even. Dad? Zoe asked quietly. Yeah. This is the best thing we've ever done together. Marcus felt tears burn his eyes. Building the house? No. Building US. Subscribe now before you miss what happened when this story went viral. It's not what you think. Marcus started posting progress photos on a local community Facebook group. Nothing fancy. Just before and after shots with captions like, Zoe and I tackled the bathroom this weekend. But someone shared his posts. Then someone else shared them. Then a local news station called. They wanted to do a story, single dad and daughter transform abandoned eyesore into dream home. Marcus agreed, mostly because he thought it would make Zoe proud. The segment aired on a Tuesday evening. By Wednesday morning, it had been picked up by national outlets. By Friday, the story was everywhere, not because the renovation was extraordinary, though it was impressive, but because of what viewers saw in the footage. They saw a father and daughter who looked at each other with respect. Who worked as partners. Who'd built something beautiful not just with their hands, but with their relationship. The internet loves a redemption story. And Marcus's story, homeless father fights his way back to give his daughter a home, hit every emotional button. Donations started pouring in. Money, materials, offers to help. Complete strangers wanted to support them. Marcus refused most of it. We're almost done. We don't need charity. But Zoe had a different idea. Dad, what if we use the donations to help someone else do what we did? Marcus stared at his daughter. When had she become wiser than him? They created a fund. Used the donated money and materials to help another single parent in their city, a mom trying to fix up a rundown rental so she could afford to keep her kids in their school district. Then they helped another family. And another. What started as one father and daughter fixing one house became a movement of people helping people build better lives. If you haven't subscribed, comment why not, what's holding you back. This story matters. 18 months after Marcus bought that abandoned house for $23,000, a real estate appraiser valued it at $185,000. But Marcus had no intention of selling. Zoe's mother, who'd threatened to take him back to court a year earlier, requested a modification to their custody agreement. She wanted Zoe to spend more time with Marcus, not less. Whatever you're doing, she told him, it's working. Our daughter is confident, capable, and happier than I've ever seen her. The house on Maple Street became a neighborhood landmark. The abandoned eyesore transformed into a mini villa that represented possibility. Proof that broken things, houses, lives, relationships, could be rebuilt with enough determination and love. But here's what Marcus wants people to understand, the house was never the point. People see the renovation and think that's the story, Marcus explained in a follow-up interview. But the renovation was just the vehicle. The real transformation was Zoe and me learning to be a team. Learning to trust each other. Building something together that neither of us could have built alone. Zoe, now 13, put it differently, we didn't just fix a house. We built a home. There's a difference. Some say Marcus took an unnecessary risk with his daughter's safety. Others call it the best parenting they've ever seen. What do you think? Drop your opinion below. Today, the house on Maple Street has a front porch with flower boxes, exactly like Zoe's original sketch. The kitchen has an island where they cook together. Zoe's lavender bedroom has shelves she built herself, filled with carpentry books and design magazines. The backyard deck with the pergola is where they sit most evenings, talking about their day, planning their next project. Because there's always a next project. That's what they learned. Marcus still works as an electrician. Zoe is now in 8th grade, planning to study architecture in college. On weekends, they volunteer with Habitat for Humanity, teaching other families how to build and repair their own homes. The abandoned house that no one wanted, that everyone said should be torn down, became a mini villa worth 6 figures. But more importantly, it became the foundation for a father-daughter relationship that had been broken and was rebuilt. Board by board, nail by nail, moment by moment. Subscribe so you don't miss stories like this, real people doing impossible things. The lesson isn't that everyone should buy an abandoned house. Most people shouldn't. The lesson is that sometimes the hard way, the unlikely way, the way everyone tells you is impossible, that's the way that transforms you. Marcus and Zoe didn't just renovate a house. They renovated their lives. They proved that being broke doesn't mean being broken. That having nothing can be the beginning of building everything. And they showed an entire community what's possible when a father and daughter believe in each other enough to swing hammers side by side and build something beautiful from ruins.